a second longer. There we go. All right, it is now time for raising funds for World Domination, day number 167. So, time for the daily update. Orthoplex 64, how's it going? So, October 6th was the third L2 merits eviction hearing. The current status is we're waiting for a final ruling or a interim order from the landlord and tenant board. I think there's something on like 15 or something odd people in this batch who are still waiting on the decision. Another 15 already won the case on a technicality, so they're in the clear. And I'm expecting one of two possible outcomes. One outcome is they will say that all of the N13 applications are dismissed, and the second possible outcome is that they will say they want to do more hearings, and then we'll have another hearing and discuss more sections of the Tenancy Act. My guess is for the last one, it took them a month to come out with their decision, or to like they came up with some conclusions on the spot during the day, but the actual like final write-up and stuff took like a month. So it could be into November before it's conclusive. So, as I've mentioned in previous streams, I'm currently focusing on trying to get revenue up, and one thing I'm going to try is to start getting some revenue, start generating meaningful revenue from the online store. And a big part of that is getting more clicks. And to do that, I'm testing out the Shopify products integration, so I can you can click on products right on YouTube and get to my store. And I made another sale. So someone in chat last night said that they were on the store and purchased something, and I checked, and they indeed did. So that's actually ready to go. I should be able to mail that tomorrow, if I don't forget. And of course, I'm also dealing with a few days ago. When was it? I think the 4th or 5th or something. My Google Merchant Center account got disabled. So currently working on. I went through all of my like privacy policies and stuff like that, and there were some like links and stuff that were not exactly pointing the right thing. And I also changed the domain kind of halfway through, so maybe that might have messed up some stuff. But and as part of the appeal process, they ask you to like make a video of like you with the products and show your packing materials and stuff. And so I did that today, and I submitted the appeal. So we'll see what happens. And if you want to get a block type dedicated into the game, there's one on sale right now for $4. You can have your name dedicated to this mineral, gethite, which is I guess an iron ore. And of course, Canada Post is on strike. I think they're still on strike. So as part of the current goal. We're working toward getting the next milestone of the game out, version 0.0.6, which is going to be crafting recipes. And for that, I'm working on a general purpose scrollable list UI feature. And actually another thing, well, the last couple days I've been trying to work on fixing the process of building and running the application inside of IntelliJ. And I tried to, I had for some reason it used to work and then it stopped working. And I couldn't explain why. I don't know if it was like because I upgraded some dependencies or something, or I had trouble tracking down when it stopped working. And today I went back and I remember I did actually get it to work kind of on my other machine. So I went back and looked what I did. And so I actually think now, I believe there are actually 3 separate issues that are causing the issue. One is there's that bug with passing VM options to IntelliJ, which happens in the new versions of IntelliJ. And then I think there's also a new bug that occurs in new versions of IntelliJ with the emulate terminal option, where it's not actually responding to cursor position requests. And then the final issue is my code for detecting if you're running at a terminal or not is not accurate. So it was falsely saying it's not a TTY when it actually was. So today I went and checked the exact build that I got it to work on the other machine. So it's this build here. So this version of IntelliJ should actually work. Nameless Monster says, "Hello Robert, my friend. How are you doing?" I'm doing pretty good. I'm slowly grinding away, making progress on multiple fronts. I'm winning my eviction process. I'm getting my store set up, making deals, getting revenue, selling stickers, fixing bugs in block mining games. Yum, let's do it indeed. All that winning, and your Blue Jays are currently winning. Your Blue Jays are currently winning against the Yankees. I'm assuming you're a Jays fan. That's baseball, I think. Man, I don't think I've I'm so disconnected from sports. I don't even think I've like ever even really known anyone who followed sports. I guess I did one of the first places I stayed when I came up here to Ontario in school. Some of the people who lived there were into sports. They watch hockey and stuff, and for that period I was like, you know what, I'll give it a try. I'll try watching the hockey game, but I just couldn't care as hard as I tried. Great news. So you'll stay as a tenant. Yes. For now, we'll see. We'll see if I don't know, if society totally collapses up here in Ontario. Ontario is getting. I don't know. Ontario is changing, and who knows if it's for the better or not. But from the tenancy aspect, I'm a valid tenant until they get an eviction order. And right now, so there's already 15 tenants that already won the case under technicality, so they're good to go. And I believe in some of the other buildings where they were trying to evict everybody, they lost, and so I think the tide is kind of turning. But I don't know. They could surprise us though. They could be like, nope, all of the. I'm confused what this live is for. This live is for development of my. Let me just compile it here for you. 1008. So this live is where I work on I do a status update every day, and then I do a little bit of work on my terminal-based video game where you simulate the process of mining blocks of iron ore in an infinite, procedurally generated universe on a Linux terminal. Once it compiles, it runs. Sports seem like a cultural thing, depending on our region. Here in Texas, it's football. Yeah, not really something I've ever. It's a lot of work to follow sports. Yeah, so here's the game. What you see over here on the side, this is actually just I'm testing a new UI feature so that you can kind of ignore that. But over here, I'm running it locally on this slow computer. So anyway, you wander around this infinite universe. You spam the M key, and then the M key makes blocks show up in your inventory after you mine them. And currently working on fixing some bugs. So anyway, that's the game. Let me see. Came from the CPU video. Yeah, that's my most popular video. Okay, so those are the versions I tried. So we'll just get rid of these so it doesn't hang again. Okay, now I should be working with a clean slate. Have 21. So hopefully this will run. So this was the version where it is possible to get it working. Deleting JDK, why did it delete it? '24. I don't understand why it's always so weird about not finding the JDK. Why 2 viewers? I'm not sure. It's kind of random. It'll start off low, and then sometimes it gets really high. And it says 2 down there, but it says 4 up there. And it's like, it's both from YouTube, so. Man, I wasted so much time trying to like the IDE brings so much, being able to debug in the UI in the IDE is so great, but then also like so much time just screwing around doing stuff that I should not have to do. Like Java 21 is on this machine, like, and it knows that it's on this machine. Why doesn't it work? And then I have to. Then of course I'm doing all this work right now because the newest version of the IDE is full of bugs. Are the bots gone? I guess maybe. I don't know. They come and go. I guess. I think sometimes I've noticed YouTube seems to start off the stream low, and then once it like figures out what the topic of the stream is, then it'll suddenly send a whole bunch of viewers in. Think of beauty. No one will never fade away. A song stuck in your head? Okay, that's good. So I didn't know what you were talking about. So this thing doesn't know. We are to find this stupid JDK. White. There it is, Java 21. Home Robert. Oh, I guess this thing must like it installs its own local ones. Why can't I just add my own? I wish you could hear it. Like I say, if I remember, I'll try to Google those lyrics later. A thing of beauty. I know it will never fade away. All right, I'll try to remember that, then Google it and listen to the song. Why do you want world domination? Why not? If I take over the world, then I can fix all the problems. Java conquest, that's what I'm on right now. I'm trying to figure it out. So Java 21 is obviously on this machine. But then I try to build with it and it can't find it. If I look for JRE, it's got use project JDK. And it like allows you to, I don't know if I do this. I'd like to know how it populates this. It says you're supposed to run it from the launcher. Robert Khan, Genghis Khan. I don't know. I've got a long way to go to compete with that reputation. I'm really behind schedule. Try using this. All right, I will. Thank you. I shout. OTU. Shout out. Shout out Daniel. Is that a request? Shout out from Daniel. All right, how can I make this work as fast as possible? With a snap. Okay, it's binary. Symlink user pin snap. I guess that's probably just how snappers work, I guess. Let's try that and then see if that changes anything. I was trying to open that as a file. Oh, look at that. It appeared. Maybe that's my issue. Now, will it work? Nope. Can't find it. JRE21. Even though it knows where it is from the environment variable, I don't get it. Robert found out about Control R in Bash yesterday. Yeah, that's a very handy trick. I actually use it many times per day, probably. Why can't it find it? Oh man, this drives me nuts. Robert, we need to make an OS before World Domination. We call it Robert OS. I already made one actually. And a compiler as well. If you search for, you know what? I actually probably should even make a video on that project. But too many other things in the go. I think if you search for there's a bunch of stuff on my blog about it. If you search for the Robert Elder compiler collection and the compiler and microkernel collection, there's it's just like a toy microkernel. Trying to get the Java version, the right Java version referenced in IntelliJ is another recurring problem I keep having. I don't know why this is so complicated. Platform settings. Oh, project structure. Why is it? It's a setting. Why would it not be in settings? Huh. Actually, let me just restart this quick. Without that home variable. Yeah, the actually, if you go to, I think it's recc.robertelder.org. I had a domain for it. It was the thing I was working on for a while. I had some grandiose ideas to. I don't know where I was going with it. I started it as like a side project in school. I just kept working on it, and I said I'll keep trying to write a compiler until I get to a point where I can't figure out how to get any further, and then I just never got to that point. Right, project structure. No SDKs. Detected SDKs. Right, let's grab that one. Here we go. Is it going to work? All right, looks like it's compiling. So this version, I think, it will not have that issue, that bug where it can't take in the arguments. Just do the VM options, and it should not have that bug where emulate terminal doesn't work. All right, I think it's successfully tried to run it. So that confirms that this version of IntelliJ doesn't have the VM options bug. And it's got emulate terminal. But my code also has an issue. In the TTY detection. So if I include that, I'm going to have to fix this. All right, so this should run it. Use Claude AI. Google's Gemini AI is so bad for helping. Yeah, it's kind of ironic. Google's going to have to step up their game. People aren't going to Google stuff anymore. So this should actually try to launch it within the terminal. I think it's kind of messed up because there's a couple other. I have to add some parameters to make it run good. All right, there it goes. It's slow. And it's wickedly slow on this. Now it has there's another issue in here. And it's trying, it's rendering the whole UI and everything. Now it has that rendering bug, which I also, with that, those days and days I spent working on the screen layer merging, there's now a parameter to fix this. What are you doing? I'm currently working on developing a terminal-based video game. Is this the Linux's year? Every year is Linux year. Just it keeps getting more and more popular every year. Are you writing this in Bash? No, in Java. Yeah, it's got some issues with the it's not correctly determining the width in this context, but it's trying. Duke Yop Bias says, yo, how's it going? All right. The issue with those weird characters appearing is fixed. Pretty slow though. You can hear the hard drive ticking away. love the ticking sound. Well, this is the computer sound ASMR channel. So yeah, this basically, there's a couple of things I can do to kind of clean up there's a few rendering bugs, yeah. Let me think. Was that kind of deadlock on me? Yeah. Is Java more of a programming language, while JS is more scripting? Yeah, I mean, the JS is in JavaScript. JavaScript has script in the name. There's actually, if you go back to the history on like why they're similarly named, there was actually a there was a vision initially. I forget what the exact history was. Like, I think, what was it? Mozilla was doing Sun Microsystems did Java, and then they made the Java programming language, and then Mozilla started working on JavaScript, and then there was like a talk, I think it was like acquisition talks or something around the time, and so there was the vision behind JavaScript. It was going to be like just like Java or merge with it or something. There was going to be some common history, and then I think the deal didn't go through or something happened, and then so the fact that Java and JavaScript are similarly named is just due to some like corporate planning history from 1994 or whatever. But yeah, Java has much more strong typing, and it's way more verbose. And JavaScript is you write JavaScript specifically for web applications. Although, guys, ironically, used to also Java applications on the web, Java applets was common, but that's I don't think I've seen that anywhere. I think that's kind of been totally deprecated everywhere now. I was born on the year of the Linux. What is the temperature? The temperature is 1. Thank you for asking. Okay, we've root caused those issues. Now I guess the other thing I should do is remove from favorites And for this thing, we can run it here, and then this will become the new IntelliJ icon, because I have to use this version because we have established that the newest version of IntelliJ has bugs that make everything not work. See, yeah, I thought Java and JS were the same, and I learned they were different. Yeah, there's I think I can't remember the I'm sure I'll misremember all the details, but there was it was something to do, I'm pretty sure it was with Mozilla and Sun Microsystems. There was some talk way back in the day about they were going to be the same language, or one's going to be a lightweight version of the other or something. And so that's why, and I think actually Sun Microsystems, someone correct me on this, the trademark for JavaScript was owned by Sun. Dolan Marvell says, "Hi, Robert. Hope your hearing went well." Yes, I think it went well. I think we had a pretty strong case. So yes, there's actually there's a pretty good documentary if you search YouTube for Mozilla documentary. There's a pretty actually, I wrote a blog. Actually, if you do a Google search for Jim Roskind C grammar. Yeah, I think it was this Jim Roskind C grammar or C++ grammar. You'll hopefully find my blog post on Jim Roskind. And Jim Roskind starred in that documentary, and I wrote a blog post because he had there was like I was doing some research on like C syntax, and I kept coming back to references to him, and there was a bunch of links that were going dead, so I was like, you know what, I should write a blog post to just to anchor this and like basically mirror the files. And I thought it was interesting that this Jim Roskind guy was involved in so many things. And then it got a bunch of upvotes on Hacker News. And then the actual Jim Roskind sent me an email. But yeah, look up the Mozilla, or look up that article that I talked about on my blog. And there should be a link to that documentary on YouTube. Applets in Flash. Nostalgic for sure. Yeah, I actually don't even know. Like, what are like modern video games, like web-based video games and stuff? What do they run in? Do they run in some like native JavaScript thing, or do they like what kind of like containers do we have on the web? I remember using Sun computers at school. I don't think we had those. Any tips for beginner who wants to be a programmer? Now, we can improve through AI. I don't know, it's hard to give very generic tips without knowing someone's situation. I don't know, there's too many tips. one could give. I guess just be inquisitive. I think the AI is a really good tool for beginners, but then as you work with it after a while, you start to see the flaws in it. All right, that'll fix some of the extra, some of those extra misrendered characters. Let's see if that works. There's a canvas HTML element you can draw in with JS, 2D or 3D. Oh yeah, I've actually used that for some stuff. I think I know of at least one web game that forgoes canvas and uses CSS, even 3D drawing. Yeah, I think that's the ideal way to write stuff from scratch. I guess I wondered, like, is there any action script? I haven't looked into this in years. Like last time I looked into this, there was still a few like action script games and stuff. keep that change. Is CSS Turing complete now? As far as I know, modern web games don't use ActionScript. Yeah, back in the day there was like a lot of things were very I guess a lot of web browsers placed a high importance on backward compatibility. But I think it was actually when they started dropping support for Internet Explorer 6. That was, I think, when things really started. People kind of lost their patience for supporting outdated platforms. But now it's kind of a wild west of, like, the standards are advancing. The new HTML standards are changing all the time. And it's constantly introducing all kinds of backward incompatibilities. And ever tried switching keyboard layout? I mean, like to a Dvorak, or I've not. I thought about trying to learn Dvorak initially a long time ago, but then I read that the keyboard shortcuts were a major problem, because the keyboard shortcuts are made for the ergonomics of a regular keyboard. And over time, I guess I just think less and less about such things. Is someone familiar with scripting languages but wants to start learning programming languages? Which language would be a good start? I was thinking C. I guess when I get that question, I've kind of been drawn towards the standard response of, I'd say the right answer is whatever is most interesting to you, or whatever motivates you the most to actually learn it. And I would say a first choice would be either C or Python. So try out C, try learning, try making a few basic programs in C, and then also in Python, and you will like one of those languages more, because it probably works more with how your brain is naturally wired. That seems to be kind of, people mostly fall into one or the other bucket. Having said that, if you like it, that'll also kind of marry you to the kinds of programs that you write. So the types of programs, in my opinion, every language is basically a tool. So Python, I think, is very good for small kind of throwaway projects that are less than 1,000 lines when you're building some kind of high level stuff. C makes much more sense for when you in this day and age. I would only use C for something if you have to, like if you're doing embedded systems development, or if you're interfacing with like the kernel API, or you're doing something at a much lower level. Writing like a video game in C, like you can do that, but in this day and age, I think it's an exercise in kind of insanity, when you can have a much better time writing it in a better, more like higher level language that does more things. And even like this application, I do have some C and some C++ in this application, but I only have it for detecting like a signal, and then I just, it's like a thin wrapper where I just because that API is not accessible in Java, so I need to write it in C to talk to the kernel API. Then the kernel API sends this stuff to my small C stub, and then that gets passed into Java. Python, low-level stuff. C is name of my grandpa. Deprogramming is my great-grandpa. I guess, I don't know. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. C is name of my grandpa. I guess maybe they're about the same age. Okay. I think the education industry's move toward Python as an introductory language has been disastrous. Junior developers come in with poor fundamentals unless they sought out certain knowledge. Yeah, I would kind of go back to what I said before. I think when people are young, there's a question of, well, this is a general question you can ask. It's like a philosophical thing about like about education and like what is the objective of education. And if you want to optimize teaching material, you can do it one of two ways. They're kind of like complementary and a bit exclusive. So you can, if you want, you can focus on saying like, what is the fastest possible way to churn out like workers who can produce a lot and are kind of like people who can just write the code, like code monkeys that have no creativity and no interest, and they just like they can write stuff and work inside the box and follow instructions. Or the complete opposite, which is like, how do you build people who are like inquisitive and people who question like, why are we doing this, and they like think outside the box, and they're doing experimenting, and they're more kind of idealist. And if you want to create a student that's either one of those things, I think the way you do the curriculum is a bit different. So I think if you want to optimize for like the most productive workers, you focus more on something that's around like just the most efficient way to go to ram through the course material, which I guess probably might start with maybe some C fundamentals, whether people like it or not, and then go to higher levels, start from the bottom up approach. But I think if you want to optimize for people who are more like inquisitive and self-directed, then I think it makes sense to focus more on like just get them interested. Like once you get people's intrinsic motivation going, so that could be to start them out with either C or Python. Then people will be more open-minded about the other stuff. Python and their high-level stuff. Get started. It obfuscates so much of what's really going on. For starter language, you want something with very simple syntax that exposes the computational process. That's true if you want a deep understanding. But then again, it takes a lot of time to learn that. On Power Fundamentals, I took computer architecture. I thought compilation worked by just inlining everything. I thought that was why compiled programs could be so large. Computer Arch is a senior elective at most schools. Yeah, it's there's a lot that can be debated about what should be in a curriculum, but there's only a finite amount of time we have to learn things, and especially, when you look at the job market today, the ROI on some of these degrees, like if it takes you 5 years to learn all this stuff, and then you've got a finite amount of time to get out in the job market and make that money, make a return on your investment in time. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll add another couple options. Socrates says, "Who are you?" Hey, keep working hard. I will. Who am I? There's a lot of work to explain. You can click on my videos. I got some long form videos that explain in depth. Two best first languages, Scheme and Racket. I've never tried Racket. Scheme, I did have to do that for one of my early courses. University. That I definitely. I spent many hours on some of the assignments, and then when I finally figured out the solution, it was just like it was like 3 lines of code. That was a common experience I had. Learning Scheme really kind of forced me to change my mental model of programming. Ladder up to C, Haskell. Yeah, I mean that's like a methodical approach, but I've heard I was watching a talk where maybe it was why that guy, about what's his name, Andre or something, the guy who works on the at OpenAI on the large language model stuff. He was talking about how in this day and age, like in 1996, it was feasible to, like, in time wise, it was feasible to kind of learn stuff from the bottom up. But today, there's so much stuff and it's so complicated that, like, it's all like a kind of like a, it's like a maladaptive like really pedantic academic obsession to like learn everything from the ground up. Like you'll spend so much time and effort learning all that stuff, and then you have to question what are you, because the to-do list to really learn what you're doing, the number of things, the number of languages and frameworks and history, it just keeps expanding. So every generation has it worse. Like even web programmers now. Like I remember when I first wrote an Ajax request. This was back when like Ajax was a new thing that had been recently developed, and you had to like instantiate an XML HTTP request object, and then have like a try catch to like catch the ActiveX object and stuff. And there were certain browsers that did not support it. And then check this like state machine of like state of the Ajax request. But then jQuery came along and then abstracted over that. And then you just do $Ajax, and now it's like it's very much built into the web. And there was also I remember JSON P. It was like a hack. It was basically like literally a hack to get around the same origin policy. And that was a thing I learned of it as like a standard way to share information between domains. And I think that doesn't even work anymore. It's been patched. But it was like a fundamental approach to doing things. And we're kind of in an era where we're almost forced to think about how to learn programming differently. Can you dominate the world now so I don't have to take my exam tomorrow? I'll try. I'll maybe try to stream a little bit later tonight so I can reach my $12 billion goal. But I don't know. I can't promise anything, but we'll see if I can raise $12 billion by the end of the stream. Then I'll do it. I'll cancel your exam. Sounds achievable. Yeah, I think it's ambitious, but you gotta have ambitious goals in life. I can donate another $3. If you want, I won't prevent you. All right, let's check out my fancy new parameters. All right, that works. Is there a way to do it without going through YouTube? I guess I have. I guess if you want, you can buy a new. You can buy another block type. There's a $4. It's a bit more expensive. If you want another dedicated block type, there's one on my store for $4 for was it Githite or something. So the Google Merchant Center is disabled. So that means the product links don't show up on YouTube, which means the traffic. So no one's like seeing it, but you can go. Actually, I updated over the past couple of days. I kind of revamped. I like made sure to like check through the privacy policy and terms of service, and I could have a refund policy. I could have like all the shipping data has to be accurate and stuff, and then I gotta like, get my South Korean business license thing. So then I had to like, I don't have one, so I had to disable shipping to South Korea. And I also on my my other main on my blog, I have a store there which nobody visits, and I changed that to be a 301 redirect to the Shopify store. So they're actually, and I also made. I also didn't have a link on my channel page, so there should be. I just added it a couple hours ago. There should be a link now on my channel. I think it's like the second link after my Patreon, if you go to like those links that are on your channel, I think there is a link to the Shopify store. But the Google Merchant Center thing, that's important for like driving all the traffic there. I know you from How to Make CPU. How do you feel about it becoming viral? I feel pretty good. It's one of my significant accomplishments in life to teach. I can't remember how many. What is it? 15 million or something? 15 million people now know how to make their own CPUs, and then they can go on to work on the CPU industry. Shopify links there. Excellent. Yeah, I also I like changed the banner on the site and stuff. So that way when Google reviews it, they'll hopefully say like, oh, this is fixed up now. We can improve it. I was kind of hoping to avoid doing all that because it was a surprising amount of time to set that up, to set up the products and to learn how the mess of stuff works. Okay, the result of all that means that now I might actually be able to run this basically for the first time. Makes like 20. So this should allow it to run with no more rendering issues. Don't want the poo ore. It's an iron. It's a fairly high quality iron ore. Thank you for the $3 though. We're now $3 closer to our goal of 12 billion. Then once we reach that goal, then we can cancel that guy's exam. So I did not expect that. Am I on the right version? Oh, why am I on this? It didn't update on me, did it? We'll get two of them open. Just because it's brown doesn't mean it's made of poo. Actually, I think in reality it's like brown and black, and it can also be like a bit iridescent. but unfortunately there's no emoji character for that. Right about, that's not the version that I want to be running. Looking at all this, my brain can't comprehend how people know how to do stuff you're doing. Going insane. I guess it helps to just spend like thousands and thousands of hours learning this stuff. I guess if you look over like the last couple of days, I basically accomplished nothing in the last couple of days, except for try to figure out why something wasn't working. And then I found out there was 3 distinct reasons why the thing I was trying to do wasn't working. I found two independent bugs in the newest version of the IDE, so I had to downgrade to an older version. And then I also found a bug in my own code that was making it worse. So I add to favorites. Maybe I'll just have to uninstall the existing version. I don't know how these links actually work. All right, let's look at the config on this one. Look at the fixed width. Now this should be the moment that I've been waiting for, actually for a long time, and the first time for like many months. This will work, I think. I took CS, changed my major after 2 classes. So I'm too dumb when it comes to coding. I don't know. In some ways, it's I almost think that you could also make a case for like criticizing like the maximum intelligence of programmers, as in like to be a programmer, there's a maximum amount of intelligence you can have, and if you had any more intelligence, then you would do something better with your time, because it takes so much time and attention, and thousands of hours of work and blood, sweat, and tears and late nights and stuff. And you make decent money, but then if you're really smart, you'll find a way to not become a programmer and like escape. I mean, if you end up at Amazon or something, or like the big tech companies, you're making the great salaries. But like if you're a kind of lower end, like if you don't get into those lucrative roles, some of the positions are not even that enviable for how much work you put into getting the degree. All right, here's the end product. That's actually looking pretty good. That looks pretty abstract, but yeah, that's literally the functioning UI. And then if I do control escape, oh, interesting, it still does have these issues. Oh wait, you know, that's interesting. But it's pretty close. It's pretty usable for just being the IntelliJ UI. So the game navigation works. It's very, very, very slow. My list scroll bar works. Actually, there might be a rendering issue with size. Frozen Spaceman sent 1 gifted membership. Congrats to Onion Orion Sterling Young to the gifted membership. If you knew how much work went into it, you wouldn't call it genius. Yeah, I think my rant a few minutes ago was kind of equivalent to that. Seems like IntelliJ has gone downhill. I don't know. I haven't used IntelliJ long enough. I am kind of disappointed about those 2 bugs. I'm quite confident that they're bugs in the IDE because well, even just a minute ago, like when I was trying to launch this and it was launching the new one, I tried to compile and then would get that error. And what was happening with that error was in this configuration, I have some VM options with these double quotes. So I say like the arguments, like this is what I type in the command line, is the log file is here, and then because it's like a command line string, a space, and then this. But for some reason, I think it's having trouble with the double quotes. It like ignores them or something, and that's a critical problematic bug. Now maybe I can blame it on myself. Like maybe there's some syntax here. Like maybe there's a way I can type the quotes and I don't know the IntelliJ way of doing it or something. I think I tried single quotes before. I tried a bunch of stuff to get this to work, and it didn't work. And to make matters worse, this D Spring Boot run arguments, there's like 3 different ways to specify this depending on the Spring Boot version you have. So at first I thought it was because my Spring Boot version changed, but that wasn't the problem. Yeah, so there's that thing, and then also the emulate terminal. On the newer version, it is not responding to cursor position requests, which caused it to deadlock. Yeah, I don't know if that issue, there's probably not many people that use the emulate terminal thing, but if those issues just went away, then I'd be pretty happy with it. It's a complex piece of software. Finance consumes all very smart people. A lot of smart people are attracted to finance. But not necessarily a lot of those smart people end up getting the money. Funny thing is, I changed my major to finance. Yeah, historically, finance has been a pretty good thing for the past decade. I think that's like the financialization of things has been a huge winner. But having said that, I don't know. I think we may actually be. Well, who knows how long it'll take? But I think we're in like a financialization bubble. Like there's been a ton of business models that are basically like like private equity will buy a business and then like immediately indebt the company and then like do all this, some stuff that's like borderline fraud, like put the company in debt to the private equity firm, and then they just do all this stuff to like basically extract as much money out of the company and then destroy it in the process. But the thing is, if your business model consists of destroying things, eventually you'll run out of things to destroy once you destroy all the businesses. So eventually that, I think, I guess if you're in finance, you should watch the All In podcast where they talk about venture capital and what's the state of the market and state of finance and stuff. And they were saying that private equity is probably going to be screwed in the next little while because we went through the unprecedented zero interest rate era. There was a lot of free money to be made, and that may be coming to an end. IntelliJ introduced a new terminal in 2025. So I'm guessing the problems you're experiencing might be from that. Oh, okay, they introduced a new terminal, 2025.2. Interesting. That probably is. I'll have to Google that for I found out the emulate terminal thing stopped working. This here thing too. I assume that is also this is probably just related to how this is parsed. G Moya says hi. How's it going? That's actually, it's kind of strange that it doesn't, it should fill up the entire width. I guess this doesn't draw rock emojis. It's about really stressing it, but it's managing. Oh, that's why some of the characters were messed up. It's because they're not even supported. Is that Red Hat? Is that a Red Hat? You have a Linux reference? I remember using Red Hat Linux a long time ago when I worked at a radio station. I guess I originally got it because I actually bought it quite a while ago. The original intent was just buy like a kind of silly looking hat that would be appropriate for like a neckbeard, stereotypical neckbeard Linux user, Red Hat user type personality. And I thought and actually I bought it and it just sat in a drawer for like a few years. I never used it. And then then I decided to just keep using it as a theme for a few videos. I don't remember if I originally got it specifically because of the Red Hat metaphor, but I think it does yeah, I think it was kind of a coincidence, but it makes sense to double down on that even more. So this basically works the way that I wanted it to. Actually, I don't understand why it's not full width. I think some of those extra squares might be from, I think I might have an exception for spaces. I guess it's not that. It is quite neckbeardy. It's strangely reassuring to hear that you acknowledge that. Yep, it's all part of the accurate messaging. You gotta have the right theme for the right video. I mean, sometimes, quite frequently, I'm often actually a natural neck beard. My beard seems to mostly grow in on my neck, so I don't know if it's a genetic thing or what. But I try to keep it. Sometimes I have often deliberately grown out my facial hair if I'm making a particularly neckbeardy video. That's amazing. Well, you gotta look good you gotta play the part on camera. Very dedicated to your craft. You have to be. It's a competitive market. Now, I'm not sure why. That did not fill up the whole width. fixed height, fixed height, fixed width, fixed width. I don't get it. Okay, let's change the config. I'll remove this. My favorite neckbeard command is, there's so many to choose from. Oh, interesting. So it is just, it's always giving it a fixed width. Did Bob lose his mind? Who's Bob? Just watch your grep video from some years ago. That might be neckbeardy. Learned a few things. Yeah, the grep video was that's one of my top trending ones. There's a few videos that just consistently get lots of views, and that's one of them. Those videos are a lot more work, but they're like the repostability of them is pretty good. Yeah, it seems like that returns a fixed width all the time, so that's why even when I don't specify a width, it goes to this width. See, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, I'll test this again, and then I think I'll declare victory. So the last couple days I didn't accomplish much, but today I got this working again, and that just that reestablishes the possibility for testing this. I'd imagine the basic Linux command videos are evergreen. Yeah, that's actually one of the reasons why I chose to cover core utils. It's just because I figured, like even with all the AI stuff, people will ask AI for advice about things, but people are still using all the basics. And I would imagine, like, even 10 years from now, they'll still be. And there's all kinds of weird ones, like the mknod command and stuff. There's not a lot of resources on that. Do you ever apply to software engineering jobs? Historically, I graduated back in 2014, started my one-person software consulting business, and then I did. I was working on independent contracts, and I did, for a while, I did try to. I did use some of the job listing sites to try and establish leads on independent contracts, and I think probably around. It was around 2019 or so that I realized that the market for that, you can always just go get a job at the big tech companies, but independent contract stuff seems to have really dried up. So I don't really even waste my time anymore. It's annoying that the rock emoji doesn't even show up. I thought I remember seeing it actually showing up in IntelliJ. I don't know, maybe this version is too old. All right, I think I'll probably call it a night here. I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. I think the reason I kind of segued into this was I was trying to debug something, So I wanted to actually run this in the debugger, and then it didn't work, and that's why I spent the last couple of days on trying to get this work again. But I guess next tomorrow we'll do day 168, and then we can finalize some of the rendering on this, on the list menu. And then we'll be one step closer toward having a scrollable list that works portably in the terminal. All right. Have a good night, guys.